Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. So there's some healthcare news today as Labour's Wes Streeting has to warn Britons to ignore what Trump says about medicine. And a new rule is adopted by GPs in England, which means people should not get fobbed off as easily when they present symptoms of a very serious illness. But first, for daily news and politics, please click the subscribe button to stay notified. So listen to this quote. Don't pay any attention whatsoever to what Donald Trump says. That seems like sensible enough advice, but remarkable to be coming from the lips of a very senior member of our government after we've gone to such pains to keep on the right side of the US president. But this is because Trump is leaning into yet another incredibly dangerous game of gaslighting with his public, and we cannot afford for the disinformation to take hold in the UK. Trump's latest brain fart is to declare that taking paracetamol has links with causing autism. Being absolutely clear, there is no link, nowhere in any medical literature. In fact, there have been medical studies, major ones, including one that Streeting cited, which demonstrate the opposite. There is no link, and the mechanism is impossible anyway. However, of course, most members of the public don't know anything about how pharmaceuticals work or neurological function or even DNA. So it's important for people to rebut these abusive claims before they take hold amongst an uninformed public. My first thought when I saw what Trump had said about paracetamol being linked with autism was jokes on him. I never take paracetamol because it made me feel ill as a kid. I still appear to have autism regardless, according to the psychiatrist, but what do they know? And don't waste my time with, oh no, feeling is during pregnancy. Oh, that's crap, right? And it is crap, and yes, that is the technical term. But the reason Trump is saying this, of course, is a part of a deliberate gaslighting campaign to control women. That's why he mentions pregnancy. He's not trying to stop men taking it, just women. It's based on nothing in scientific literature anywhere. It's literally a domestic abuse control method, but on the national level. I'll be covering a few examples of this in a video I've got planned when I have the time, hopefully this week, but I do have next Monday to prepare for. I'm at Graham's event entitled Labour's Broken Comms in Liverpool next Monday evening. Link in the description if you want a ticket. They're free, but donations are welcome. So I have to prepare for a day away from my desk and camera, and we all know how stressful that is for me. So we'll see what time allows. But back to the orange one. And like I say, it just shows how insanely dangerous Trump's message is that the government have had to tell people to ignore the man, at least insofar as he says anything about medicine. But frankly, it should apply to everything. But yeah, medicine. I mean, remember, this is the guy who once mused, maybe we can cure COVID by injecting bleach into people. Don't do that either, right? I mean, no tiptoeing about it here, is it? I mean, I'm not a good diplomat. Even I could have thought of a more diplomatic way of phrasing this. But no, Labour have obviously sat round at the table and thought this is too serious to leave any room for ambiguity. Do not listen to Trump on any medical topic, basically. Thank you for listening. Brilliant. But there was another serious healthcare bit of news today. Being fair, despite the baffling anti-trans lines Labour have been taking, very famously including the NHS, of course, their general work has been quite good. They haven't just thrown more money at the system and said, treat more people. There have actually been some decent reforms. There was a very rapidly arranged review into the problem of physician associates. So they tackled that really quickly. That's been causing massive problems. The announcement that NHS England will be dissolved and services brought back to the government, that is a big move towards renationalising the service, which, despite still being free at point of access, was effectively in a very advanced stage of privatisation. And today, Jess's rule has been publicised in order to avoid deadly cock-ups with England's GPs. Too many people get fobbed off when presenting symptoms which turn out to be really serious. You know, people, Jess Brady, after whom the new directive is named, was one of them. So the rule effectively means that if GPs are unable to offer a credible diagnosis or the symptoms escalate while they're trying to treat, something else, the case has to be reconsidered. Now, this isn't going to stop all the cases of misdiagnosis, of course. Diagnosis is very tricky. It is not easy. You can present with symptoms, which could be 100 different things. Obviously, GPs have to go through a process of probability. We understand that. You go, what is the most likely then what is the next most likely? And if that happens, that's fine. As long as doctors are constantly reviewing it and going, right, so it's not that, so let's try this and let's try. That's fine. But that's not what happens. What happens is they need you off their case books as quickly as possible. So this should hopefully cut out a lot of serious errors. Most of us have probably known someone, or many people, whose symptoms got worse after treatment. They went back to the GP and the GP said, well, let's just carry on what we're doing for another couple of weeks and see what happens. It's exactly that which killed a very close friend of mine in his late 30s. I've also known plenty of young women in particular, both professionally and personally, who have faced major barriers to being treated seriously because of a system designed to get people off their lists as a higher priority than actually curing illnesses. Oh, they're probably just not coping with like periods or something, right? And it's not a consequence of an uncaring profession. More, I suspect, of shrinking resources making management of targets a necessity. But when you don't treat an illness, you just sort of hope nature does the job, then you're only really saving up trouble for later. Whether that trouble is a more serious and therefore resource-intensive development, a dead patient, or just lost productivity, none of it is helpful for a serious government. So this is another good development, but make sure you take advantage. Like these sorts of initiatives work best if patients know about them, don't they? And although it has technically been reported on in the mainstream media, not with any great fanfare, you would easily miss it if just scanning the main headlines. And I know from many, many people that one big problem is people not escalating with their GP because they have bitter experience of being fobbed off, right? It all seems like such a waste of time. Why would you bother if you just know the GP is going to say, oh, well, let's see in another couple of weeks. But you do need to keep banging on the door if you want someone to answer it. And that has now been made a little bit easier, hopefully. If you present with symptoms, the GP adopts a course of action, but your symptoms worsen, go back. If necessary, mention Jess's rule. If they try to discharge you without a diagnosis, but your symptoms are persisting, same thing. And make sure people that make sure they know about it as well. The NHS is getting better. It is getting better bit by bit. So keep informed and keep persisting. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And for more content, you could subscribe to the channel or even join for access to streams and behind the scenes updates. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.